Folks, let me tell you about the day I learned a can of brown paint could launch an all-out neighborhood war. Picture this. I'm out there early on a Saturday, minding my business, sun just breaking over the Texas trees, just me, a brush, and my granddad's old fence. The thing's been standing for decades, weathered gray, a little bent, but solid as a handshake. I'm thinking a coat of classic barn brown will give it another few years. And that's when the hurricane hits. Her name's Sandy. Well, you know the type. Late 30s, bleach blonde hair, wearing a sparkly pair of flip-flops and a blazer that never fit right. She comes charging across my yard like she's leading the cavalry, waving a clipboard like a sword. "You're destroying property values," she hollers before I even put my brush down. This is Sunset Meadows, and we have standards. I just stand there, paint can in hand, thinking, since when did brown become illegal? Sandy starts dictating. Doesn't ask, mind you. Like she's the sheriff and I'm some outlaw she finally caught. You know what I mean? What started as a quiet project, suddenly I'm public enemy number one for using a color found in actual nature. She whips out a laminated HOA rulebook, section 4.2 this, architectural committee that, turns out, in her world, fences require royal approval. And surprise, she's the queen. My fence, on my land, suddenly under attack. Now, I try to stay polite. I tell her, "Ma'am, this fence was brown before your neighborhood even existed." She just gets redder and louder. Starts taking pictures, threatening fines, $300 a day for unauthorized earth tones. I can't help but laugh and record her. The internet loves a good HOA story, right? I post a quick video, when Karen's attack painted wood, and go back to work. That's when my neighbor Da shows up, bless her, bringing sweet tea and common sense. She's been around since before these houses were blueprints. "Your granddad would be proud of that color," she says, casting Sandy a look like you'd give a yappy dog. Neighbors start peeking out, watching the showdown. I keep painting, that keeps me company. Sandy keeps stomping, clipboard snapping against her hip. Every time she slaps that thing, I swear it echoes all the way to the county line. But here's where things start getting weird. I wake up the next morning, 3 different violation notices taped to my fence, all weatherproofed, and screaming in big red letters. Immediate correction required. Sandy's put more effort into those notices than most folks put into a birthday party. I peel them off and film myself reading them aloud. Full bureaucratic voice, post the whole thing online. Next thing I know, Sandy's created a Facebook group, the Sunset Meadows Property Crisis. 17 fence photos, dramatic captions about a rogue homeowner assaulting community standards. The group has 12 members, Sandy, her mom, and what look like sock puppet accounts. My neighbors are dying laughing. My little paint project's gone viral. On Tuesday, the police show up. Deputy Tom, good guy, hates drama, says he got a complaint about property destruction. I offer him coffee, show him the fence, and he shakes his head. "Sir, painting your own fence isn't illegal." I wish this was the weirdest call I've had this week. I can barely breathe when I tell her. "That woman just spent 20 minutes on my porch explaining how your brown fence is going to bring the apocalypse," she says. But Sandy isn't done. She goes door to door, charts and petitions, warning folks my fence will destroy their investments. She gets 3 signatures, hers, her mom's, and, hilariously, Mickey Mouse. That's the thing about bullies. They don't stop until you stand up or the whole world's watching. Then comes the twist. Dot sits me down on her porch, glass of sweet tea in hand, and says, "Honey, your granddad's land went way past that fence." Turns out, my property covers all of Sunset Meadows. Dot's watched this place change for decades. She's seen developers come and go, but the Ford name's still on the original deed. Suddenly, this isn't about a fence anymore. I take Dot's advice and spend Friday at the county clerk's office, sifting through records. Sure enough, every house in Sunset Meadows is built on land my granddad never sold. The so-called HOA is enforcing rules on property they don't own. And get this, Sandy's getting a kickback from the management company to keep up community standards. Saturday, Sandy escalates. She organizes a neighborhood watch, patrolling past my fence every hour, snapping pictures and muttering about property values. I start timing her visits, post updates, Sandy's hourly fence inspection, still brown, still legal. The internet eats it up. My following explodes. Even the hardware store joins in, advertising anti-Karen paint. The real turning point comes Monday. Sandy demands an official property survey, her final shot at proving I'm in the wrong. A county surveyor shows up, clipboard, orange flags, the works. Sandy's out there in her best power suit, live streaming the whole thing. Neighbors gather, lawn chairs and coffee, watching like it's playoff Sunday. After an hour of measuring and flag planting, the surveyor calls everyone over. Ladies and gentlemen, according to these records, the Ford property line extends around the entire development. All homes, roads, playgrounds, inside the Ford grant. You could have heard a pin drop. 35 families realize they're not homeowners, they're tenants. Sandy's face. Well, I'd pay money to see that again. Now, here's where I could have played hardball, but that's not how I was raised. I told everyone, nobody's losing their home. We'll work out real lease agreements that protect your rights, not some made-up HOA fee. Folks breathe easy. Sandy, though, she's in meltdown mode, accusing me of conspiracy, claiming I bribed the surveyor. The room's not buying it. Deputy Tom, bless him, shakes my hand and says, in 20 years, I've never seen anything like this. But if you think Sandy was done, you don't know desperate Karens. She calls the news, spins a wild story about me evicting families, paints herself as the hero. But when the reporter, Jennifer, digs into the records, talks to the surveyor, interviews, the whole rental fraud scheme blows up. The TV piece runs with Sandy's meltdown in the background and my promise to protect the neighborhood. I don't care whose property it is, community standards apply. Soundbite becomes an internet classic. Sandy's online fame, not the kind you want. Within weeks, the management company vanishes, Sandy skips town, and I work with neighbors to turn rent into real ownership. Local businesses thrive, proud suppliers of Karen-proof paint. Even the mayor joins the Brown Fence Day celebration, handing me the key to the city. That starts writing a newspaper column on spotting fake authority. My fence gets a historical marker. Property values climb, gardens bloom, and kids play without measuring their grass. And what started as a simple paint job becomes a rallying cry for folks everywhere, standing up to bullies, questioning fake authority, and making sure the loudest voice isn't always the one in charge. You know, I never set out to be a hero, just wanted a brown fence and some peace and quiet. But sometimes, standing your ground does more than protect your own backyard. It frees a whole community. So, let me ask you, where do you stand when someone tries to push you around with rules that don't make sense? Do you go along, or do you pick up your brush and paint your fence anyway? Drop a comment below. Let's hear your stories about standing up to bullies, fighting for what's right, or just surviving a wild neighborhood feud. And if you think this fence saga is wild, wait till you hear about the time took on the county tax assessor. Go ahead, click that next video. You know you want to.